Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today we are going to start diversity and the social change. This is the second portion um, from the chapter family, and it is the second portion of the theory is about the uh, role of the family. So let's get started. This section uses evidence mainly from the United Kingdom, but similar patterns are found in other modern industrial society with similar causes and consequences. Marriage. In modern industrialized societies, the number of marriages and the marriage rate has been falling. This is partially because people tend to marry at a later age, reducing the number of marriages in a given year, and also because more people choose not to marry at all. Although there has been a consistent overall decline in marriage and a steady decline in the first marriages in the UK. This has been balanced to some extent by remarriages. Remarriages peaked in 1980s and have since slowly declined. But as a percentage of all the marriages, remarriages has doubled in the last 50 years, reaching its highest point around the turn of the 21st century and slowly declining over the last past 10 years. There has been an increase in serial monogamy when a person has several marriage patterns over their lifetime, but only one at a time. This sometimes happened in the past because of the death of a partner, but today divorce has become the main cause. Causes of the marital change. Explanation for the marital change fell into two broad groups. The first suggests that general decline can be explained by population demographic changes rather than a change in people's behavior. Marriage in the UK was most popular just after the Second World War and during the 1970s. During these periods, there was a baby boom when a greater than average number of babies were born over a relatively short time. The Second World War had prevented many couples starting a family, and by the 1950s, the average time for the family completion from first to last child was a historical short 10 years. This produced a population growth, a rapid, if temporary, increase in the number of children. This goes some way to explaining both an increase in marriage and childbirth during the 1950s and the number of marrying in the 1970s and 1980s as the baby boom generation reached adulthood. A relative explanation is that in any society, some age groups, cohorts are more likely than others to marry. This means there are peak periods for marriage, the age range at which marriage is more likely. The more people there are in this age range and the more marriages they are likely to be. The number of children are elderly in a population affect marriage statistics. The UK, in common with many industrial societies, has an aging population in which there are more older people than young. The size of these two cohorts affects marriage statistics. If we focus on those most likely to marry, the marriageable population, we find only a relatively small decline in marriage rates over the last 30 years. A second set of explanation focus on the wider influences on people's behavior. There are now fewer issues, stigmas attached to having children outside marriage, and there is also less social pressure to get married. Women now have more career opportunity, which allow them greater financial independence. As a result, there is less economic pressure for them to marry. Increased female financial career and personal independence means that marriage is now a lifestyle choice, and a woman are less likely to enter a relationship that limits their ability to work and develop a career. Cohabitation is an alternative to marriage has increased in recent years, and although many cohabiting couples eventually marry, many do not. Self and Zele suggest that falling marriage and rising cohabitation are the result of more people choosing to delay marriage until later in life. Secularization, religious beliefs have less influence, has led to change in the meaning and significance of marriage. There is less pressure to marry, and the importance of the institution of marriage has declined. Finally, back 1992 argued that people in postmodern societies increasingly assess the likely risk and consequences of their action, the likelihood of divorce with its emotional and economic consequences can lead to the avoidance of risk by not marrying. So, according to these paragraphs, there are so many things I need to share just to make you kind of a understanding of the topic. So, first of all, important thing is that we need to categorize a couple of things. If we talk about the last past 10 years, there is a very clear uh, symbol, a clear line that people don't like to marry. This is the first thing. Why they don't like to marry in the last 10 years? in UK, especially in UK, and in almost all industrialized developed countries. You know why? Because they have more choices, more alternatives to marriage. So that is the reason in the last 10 years people are not likely to marry. Generally you can say that more people are tend to have their career opportunities, especially in reference to females, one thing. Second, alternative to marriages means, I mean, they have more opportunities, they have more alternatives to marry. I mean, they like to have cohabitation, they like to have civil partnership. There's a couple of alternatives they have in reference to marriage, so they decide not to taking risk in form of marriage, one thing. But if we talk about the 50 years, one can say that in 1970s and 1980s people love to marry, and that particular moment, that particular period, one can say that they love to have more children. So in 1970s, 1980s, a time period was called baby boom. A lot of babies were born at that particular period, more than average, one can say that. So if we simply take the 50-year, you can say graph, one can say that in last 50 years, one can clearly see remarriages is very common in last 50 years. But we simply shrink this graph to 10 years, one can say that remarriage is not that much, you can say, the business of the day. Rather, cohabitation or the civil partnership is considered to be more likely to be practiced in UK and other industrialized developed countries. This thing. Second thing is that we need to understand why people don't like to marry. There are so many things which are involved right now. But Janib, taking two broad points I need to share. First of all, it's not about the behavior of the people. First point is not about the behavior of the people, rather it's all about the population. For instance, in 1970s, one can say that the population of England, I'm just giving you a sort of example, it's not about the figures only. For instance, the population of England was 10 million, for instance, and out of 10 million, 50,000 people used to marry, right? But now you can say that now the population of England is 20 million, and you can say that, I mean, 75%, 75,000 people used to get married. So it's the way the population is increased. So just to make a comparison with the population, the rate of marriage is declining. Less people are likely to get married as compared to the way the rate of population increase, the rate of marriage is almost decreased on the same way. So this is one of the reasons. More population but less people, they tend, or the rate, less rate of people tend to marry in those countries. This is one thing. Second thing is that, I mean, we need to understand now with the passage of time people decide to marry later years. So when they try to get married in late, like 30s, like late 20s. So we need to understand one thing, I mean, if they try to marry at later age or don't marry at the particular age which is likely to be married in the past years, we need to understand that point. In the past there is generally considered like 20 to 25 people like to marry, but now this thing changed to 30 to 35. You know why? Because girls are tending to have more career opportunities with the advent of social networking, social uh, different sites. People try to explore different things. They don't like to, you can say, take a risk, because according to, especially to females or even males, they simply consider marriage a risk. Why risk? Because you, I mean, it's financial crisis, you don't have anything. I mean, how long you can have with your partner, because there are so many options for the partner as well. So you can say that disloyalty and are more opportunities on social media, more exploration on social media, more career opportunities, more awareness about your career. So all these factors play a very vital part in delaying your marriage. So when you delay your marriage and it simply changed to 25 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 35, so it means you have lesser children. So when you have lesser children, obviously the population will be decreased to some extent. And one more thing which is also very important, just to try to understand the what is the mechanism of marriage or remarriage or divorce or something like that. I mean, in industrialized developed countries, the aging group, the people who are more than 60, this aging group is more than the young people. This is very important point to understand. Obviously, if your a majority of the population consists of aging population, the 60 to 70, due to the better facilities, pensions, so many facilities from the government, medical improvement. So this play a vital part. Obviously, at the age of 60 to 70, you are not supposed to remarry. I mean, and if you even you remarry, the fraction you have a fraction of people who can do like practice this thing. So this factor, and second, it's sort of the when we talk about the second thing. First, I mentioned it's all about the population. You need to understand population increased as compared to the increase in population, lesser rate of people who decide to get married. One thing. Second thing is that in this reference, aging population is more than adult population. Our yeah, young people, so the population in majority are not going to take marriage. So that is the two main reason as far as the population is concerned in reducing our decline in marriages. One thing. Second thing is all about the behavior. Now I'm talking about the behavior. What about the behavior? See that I mean, we are living in a global village. We have a lot of exploration about different cultures. So almost 30 to 40 years before, there was a concern of religion. I mean, people tend to practice different religions. So when they tend to try or practice religion, there are certain things. I mean, you need to marry. There are certain institutions. Family is one of them. Family is considered to be the primal part in making or the shaping of the society. It's all about the primary socialization. So it's primary socialization. You need to have kids. You need to give proper care to your kids, nurturing. It's all about the family and the institution of the family. But with the passage of time, no, we are tending towards secularization. What is secularization? I mean, when you are lesser, uh, you can say keen, or your inclination is not towards the religion rather than your materialistic approach. You like to have your financial career. You like to have more opportunities just to build your career. You are more optimistic about your lifestyle or just standard of living. These things have overtaken from all. I mean, so religion, if you try to practice religion, is your personal issue. You want to practice religion, the state is nothing to do with the religion. Now, so when we talk about the secularization, we are no more concerned about the religion. So I mean, cohabitation, one can say that in previous years it was considered to be illegal, illicit. In the eyes, in the practice, in the teachings of religion, one can say that it's not the thing which should be opted. But now, after secularization, people are likely to live in cohabitation because they simply consider it's more you can say comfortable. They live in a more comfortable zone. So this is why that is why females are trying to establish a career. So when they are establishing their career, obviously they are tend to not tie the knots because they are not ready to take more responsibilities. They are don't need to bound themselves. So that is the reason they are not interested in getting married. One thing. Second thing is that I mean, for them it is far more easier to live in cohabitation because when they live in cohabitation, it's almost 50 to 50 50% I mean, for your financial issues, your partner or the person you are living with, he is responsible or she is responsible at the same level. Second thing. Third thing is that I mean, when you are living in cohabitation, it's not you are not practicing patriarchy. It's not I mean, you can say the typical male domination society. I mean, if you live in cohabitation, because you people are trying to equalize I mean, your rights while practicing cohabitation. So these are the reasons why people are not tend to marry rather than they have alternatives. So they're practicing the alternatives. And the last thing I need to mention, according to these paragraphs, is the serial monogamy. You know, in the past 50 years, one can say that remarriage is more frequent. I mean, as people just try to understand what I'm saying, in 70s and 80s, people like to marry. They like to have a lot of children. So the mindset which were fixed in 70s and 80s to have a lot of kids have changed. But that generation reached to 60s, and when they reach to 60s, and now obviously they are not at that particular moment to have cohabitation at the age of 50 to 60. So those people who are in their 50 to 60s, they try to remarriage rather than to have alternative to marriage. So now switch to what is cohabitation is all about. So guilds argue that common law marriage where a couple live together as if marriage was extensively practiced in the past. Cohabitation is not legally recorded in the UK, and so statistics are not reliable. Over the past 25 years, however, survey methods have produced more reliable estimates with WHO and church. identifying a broad increase in cohabitation from 10% of couple in 1986 to 25% in 2006. Around 25% of young people aged 25 to 29 no cohabit, compared with around 80% in the mid 90s. The relative amount proportion of cohabiting couple family has also increased significantly in the last 10 years, from 9% to 15% all family. The cause of the increase in cohabitation include reduced social pressure to marry, lower level of stigma attached to living with someone without being married, the wider availability of birth control, contraception, and abortion. Smart and Stephen suggest four main reasons for recent upward trends in cohabitation, and it was changing attitudes of marriage. These range from no interest in the institution of marriage itself to uncertainty about whether a partner is suitable for marriage. For some, cohabitation represent a test for their partners to prove they can settle down, gain and keep paid work, and interact successfully with the mother's children before marriage. Some males and females move into and out of serial cohabitation, one cohabiting relationship followed by another. Many cohabiting parents are either unwilling to enter into a legal relationship, or they believe it is easier to live a cohabiting relationship if it does not work out. There may be a philosophical resistance to marriage influenced by feminist ideas, with some people believing that cohabitation leads to more equal relationship. So what is cohabitation? I mean, it's easy to understand. You are living with someone without official marriage. One can say that in the last 10 to 15 years, cohabitation is very common in all the modern industrialized society, because there are so many reasons for that. First of all, it's a very flexible relationship, and for instance, it's all at the same time, it's a practice, it's a test to the loyalty of your kids. I mean, if you or try to test the loyalty of your partner or spouse, I mean, you can have a cohabitation for years, and after years, so you have a choice. If you simply test and you are according to the will of your partner, so one can say that now it's the right time to marry. So if you try to live in cohabitation, things are far more easier for you. So first of all, it's equality, one thing. Second thing is all about the financial assistance. I mean, you need to cooperate with each other for the financial assistance. Second thing. Third thing, it's easy to break up. It's easy to have a seal cohabitation. For instance, you are living with somebody for 6 to 7 months. For instance, you simply change your partner. So one can say that it's again the same is the case like serial marriage or the serial monogamy to seal cohabitation. So easy and flexible. Thirdly, one can say that it's all about the career orientation. I mean, for the females, you want to establish your career. So if you want to establish your career, it's far more easier. During establishing your career, you can have someone who can support you. So in if you simply switch this to marriage, obviously you females have to do a lot of domestic work. They are bound, and if they are bound to work at home, so obviously they are not able to continue with their study. They are not able to establish a good career. They are not available for the better lifestyle. So all these constraints, I mean, according to feminist, I mean, you can simply lost. So if you people are living in cohabitation, things will be far more easier as far as the prosperity is concerned, as far as the changing of your lifestyle is concerned. Cohabitation is one of the things which are likely to be practiced in UK and the other developed industrialized societies. This thing. And the last thing, I mean, which is very important just to understand the philosophy of cohabitation. It's all about, I mean, one can say that it's for instance, if you have children outside the marriage and you people practicing cohabitation, then people can simply say you are living for 5 to 10 years with somebody and you are the father or the mother of the kids outside the family. So it is normally practiced that after having kids, you simply marry to the same person you are living or you are practicing cohabitation. So I mean, we need to understand the last thing. It's all about the you can say it's not about the religion. You are not having pressure these days, because due to the availability of the social networking, people have a lot of, you can say, understanding. they don't feel that pressure in the society which they were feeling, or you can say that 40 to 50 years before. So what is divorce and separation? There are a number of ways in which marriage relationship can end. A couple may continue to live together after the marriage is effectively over, especially if they are not able to afford to live apart. This is referred to an empty shell marriage. Other couples may separate or divorce. So first of all, need to understand a term which is empty shell marriage. What is empty shell marriage? For instance, I mean, normally you can say that in the societies these days, people don't bother to take a step. I mean, simply divorce uh, and and you can say they are ways apart. But still, you can say that some loyal, traditional, conservative partners, they are not ready to separate with each other due to the presence of their kids or the betterment of the emotional attachment with your kids. So rather to divorce their partner, they are feel far more comfortable by living the empty shell marriage, where you people have nothing to do with each other except to be together only for the sake of your kids. So otherwise you're not ready to live an empty shell marriage. The next alternative is obviously the divorce. In the early to mid 20th century, there was a relatively small number of divorces. However, over the past 50 years, divorce has become more common, peaking in 1990s. In recent years, there has been a general decline in divorce, although since 1981 there was a been a doubling of re-divorce, people experiencing multiple marriages and divorce. One clear pattern is that divorced people, divorcee, have been getting older, a fact that reflect the later average age of the marriage. So it's all about, I mean, the trend we have, I mean, which started, one can say that in 1990s the rate of divorce was double. You know why? There was a reason behind that. People have more experience, they explore exploring new dimensions. Obviously with the advent of internet and social networking sites, people have more opportunity to find their partner. So people, I mean, are very clear about their future. I mean, if they are not ready to live with somebody, they can change their partner, and through uh, exploration, I mean, they can find a new partner. So that was the reason of divorce in the past 30 years. The causes of divorce, pattern of divorce are affected by a range of social factors. One of the most significant of these factors is illegal change. Each time divorce is made easier or cheaper, the number of divorces increase. However, it is important to note that changes to the rules regarding divorce can create reliability problems. For example, in 1969, Divorce Reform Act in the UK introduced irretrievable breakdown of marriage as the only requirement for divorce. Before that, one partner had to find fault, such as an affair, adultery with the other. So we do not know how many people before 1969 would have divorced if the new rules had applied then. So this is the thing I need to mention: irretrievable breakdown of marriage. I mean, in 1969, you need to understand one thing. I mean, couple of years before, a lot of changes has been made in the laws in regard to divorce. Now things are getting very easier for females as well. I mean, if they don't want to live with their spouses, so it's easy for them, it's very cheap to ways apart. And secondly, the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage is all about, I mean, in 1969, according to rules and regulation, you need to give a reason, a valid reason for divorce. And according to this irretrievable breakdown of marriage, you can, especially, you need to prove that your partner or your spouse uh, have practiced adultery, have more illicit relations outside the marriage. So the process of secularization means that many couples no longer regard marriage as a sacred institution that must be preserved. There are also fewer stigmas attached to divorce. In addition, increasing life expectancy in modern society mean that a marriage has longer to last, which may place greater strain on a relationship, increasing the chance of divorce. So, but after the practicing or the process of secularization, one can say that now couples have no longer considering marriage as sacred institution or a sacred relationship, because they don't bother. Before, I mean, it was considered to be as a religious practice. I mean, you're getting married, I mean, it is considered to be a sacred, you can say, event, considered to be a sacred practice. Obviously, after having a marriage, tie the knots with someone, and after having you can say a lot of kids around. You can say that it's all about, you simply consider it's a part of your religion, but uh, it's again, it's all about the awareness you people are getting through internet, through social networking. Now people simply consider it's a bit easier not to marry, and it is more, far more easier if you are having your spouse, you can simply get rid of him or her. It's now becoming more easier, so no constraint, it's no stigma from religion uh, to divorce somebody. It's very easier to taking divorce, less, it's very cheaper at the same time. No strict rule and regulation out there. I mean, if you don't want to live with somebody, you can simply simply have part ways with them. So finally, contemporary ideas about the marriage are arguably influenced by romantic identity individualism. Couples enter relationships seeking to meet, fulfill their personal interests in the partnership in one of two ways: romantic love, where the love given to a partner is unconditional, but if one partner falls out of love, there is nothing to hold the marriage together. So conflict love, where love is not unconditional, one partner give it in return for something else. For example, one partner may marry because they believe this will enhance their social status. So finally, one can say that if we talk about the marriage or we talk about the relationship, we got two things in reference to the partnership. One is the romantic love. I mean, you like somebody, you are in relationship with someone, so it's all about the love. You just crazy about your spouse or partners. You want to live as long you love your partner. So this is all about the romantic a love. But on the other hand, we have a confident love. I mean, you simply get married with a person, you are not interested in love, rather than you are simply enhance your social status by marrying to a particular person or a celebrity, one can say that. So there are two different dimensions. It's a romantic love and the confident love. Confident love generally have enhanced your social status in form of you get a lot of money, a lot of, you can say, attachment to the person who is very famous in the society. So, marriage therefore has increasingly become a search for personal happiness rather than a moral commitment. Now, people tend to marry not just to commit the religious practice or the moral practice, rather than it is the personal happiness which is involved in making marriage or remarriages. Divorce are not unhappy. Divorcees are not unhappy with marriage. They are unhappy with the person they've married. Divorce is more likely when what someone expects to happen in a marriage does not actually happen. Normally, people get rid of their partners because what they expect before marriage, and they are not able to fulfill all the dreams, all the expectation from their partner. So they simply decide to take ways from their partner. This is the main reasons for divorce. So I mean, this we have for today. And from today lecture, if I simply give you a 1 minute revision, one can say it's all about the diversity, why people get married, why there is a great, you can say, tendency of cohabitation. It's far more easier, reluctant. It's a flexible relationship. People get more opportunities in form of cohabitation. Especially, you are get rid of in the male domination. This is one of the practices you people have in cohabitation. Then there are certain behavior, it's all about the population. Most of the developed countries, they have aging, more population, more aging population. So at the 60s or 70s, I mean, people hardly think of cohabitation. So cohabitation is all about the young age. Most of, you can say, the people around 20 to 35, they love to have cohabitation. It's you can say, due to the presence of secularization, no more stigma. You are not concerned with religion these days more. I mean, because you are not ready to follow the moral, you can say, the boundaries or the moral restrictions, rather than you're simply thinking about your personal happiness. It's all about the love, romantic love or the confident love. The people who simply believe in romantic love, they can simply love to live with their partners as long the love is in the marriage. But on the other hand, we have a confident love when people simply get marriage due to the financial, you get boost. You need to enhance your social status. You want to find certain people who have a lot of money. So this is we have for today. So I mean, take great care of yourself and the people around you. Hope to see you tomorrow. And till then, fi aman Allah.